Friends, today we are going to see some videos of this cell wall. Here you see the diagram of this cell which is fluctuating in the red. Cell wall is a rigid and protective layer around the plasma membrane which gives the mechanical support to the cell. Here is the bacterial cell, whereas all plant cells among eukaryotic cells. The cell wall also determines the shape of the plant cells and more. The shapes of cell wall of plant cells such as parenchymatous, cholenchymatous have been recognized. Plant cells are composed of carbohydrates known as the cellulose, various chemical substances such as the hemicellulose, pectin, lignin, cutin and chitin also occurs in a single along with the cellulose in the various types of the cell. It seems certain minerals such as calcium and magnesium in the form of the carbonates and silicates. This is the diagram you are observing it. These are the polysaccharide chains most abundantly chemically substance of most plant cells. This is the link of the carbon long chains molecule of the glucose. Friends, see in these videos, this is the cellulose molecules which lies parallel among each other to form the microtubule bundles. 100 chain molecules of cellulose forms the elementary fibril, which are also known as the micelle. When these 20 micelles get arranged parallel and form a thick known as microfibrils. So regarding this, you can see the pictures also. Well, as I am explaining it, the bundles of cellulose of fibers are seen. See, the fluctuation is going on and it forms the main framework of the cell wall. Hemicellulose layer is composed of monosaccharide units such as xylose, mommose and galactose. This is the link sometimes between the microfibrils of the cellulose. It has been observed. Chemically composed of glucuronic and galactronic acid. Lignin is composed of quaternary alcohols. The cutin is compromises of many fatty acids, and the chitin is of polymer of glucosomes, amine. This is the diagram of the cell. You can see the plasmodesmata lying here complex. It contains of three layers, namely primary cell wall, secondary and tertiary cell wall. You see the organelles in the diagrams too. First, it is known as the primary cell wall. It is the uppermost layer of the cell, and in the case of the immature meristematic and parenchymatous cell, it forms the cell wall. See this diagram, cell wall is comparatively thin and permeable. That means it allows the aqueous substance to move. Certain cells of the leaf and the stem also possesses the cutin waxes which makes the primary cell wall as a impermeable. It doesn't allow the water molecules to move. Cell wall of yeast and fungi is composed of chitin. Specifically, the cell wall in plant cell is composed of cellulose, intricate network, microfibrils, and a gel-like matrix arranged in various manners. You can see in this diagram, cellulose microfibrils are shown in the brown layer, which is chain and linked in the bundle of microfibrils, are connected with the help of xyloglucone chains, hydrogen bonds, thus complete and continuous lattice form. Polysaccharides form the second network, which is rich in galactonic acid residues and form cross-linked based on calcium bridges and the other ionic substances. Protein is the third interfacing network in the cell wall, which is composed of the which interviews the protein network through the two networks of microfibrils. It forms warp and wall structure. Young and small, the cellulose fibers are loosely packed. You see the cellulose fibers in the diagram is not complete. However, mature cells, due to cross-linking of fibers network in the cell wall is able to grow further. Proteins are called expansion is responsible to wall loosening. Expansion by addition of cellulose molecules to cellulose microfibrils. This video has been taken from the www.iconstore.com. It is not mine video. I am just explaining with the help of this video mexaseducation.com. So you see permeable cell wall is permeable. It has concentric three layer S1, S2 and S3 which occurs one after the another. Plant cells, there occurs another cell wall beneath the cell wall which is known as the tertiary cell wall. It differs from the primary and secondary wall in the form of its morphology and chemical constituent as well as the staining properties in it. Cellulose, the tertiary cell wall consists of another chemical substance. We can also call it as xylon. The plant tissues are generally cemented together by the matrix known as middle lamella, and it is mainly composed of the pectin, lignin and some proteins. Middle lamella is and very important for the plants, never occurs in the form of this layer but have many minute operators through which the cells of tissues maintain cytoplasmic reaction with each other. So you see here the in this diagram, in this yellow four dots appears between the two cells that are known as the phragmoplast, and whatever you see in this diagram are plasmodesmata of the meristematic cell which have been found to be continuous with the plasmodesmata of adjacent cell. They are the transport of the adjacent cells. Cytoplasm and the endoplasmic reticulum remain continuous to the adjacent cell. Through the plasmodesmata, the intercellular solutions containing nutritional products, dissolved gases, ions or other substances are passed away or transport system takes place. Products of cytoplasm: organelle, cytoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, etc. play an important role in the formation of the cell wall. Initially, the formation of the cell wall process is known as the phragmoplast. Phragmoplast, you are seeing the two cells are equally divided, started by the formation of the phragmoplast cells. You can see in this diagram, cell plate is formed between the two cells, small vesicles of endoplasmic reticulum which cut off from the endoplasmic reticulum and migrated from the periphery to the equatorial part of the cell. Equatorial region of the dividing cells, the vesicles of the endoplasmic which get arranged on the equator and thus separate the two daughter parts of the cytoplasms in all these vesicles, few which forms the plasmodesmata which lie one on the another and this continues the cell plate. In later stages, develops pectin and changes into the middle lamella formation. Middle lamella is also accompanied by some large vesicles known as phragmosomes and the vesicles of Golgi apparatus which provides, that is, non-cellulose material. Fibrils of the cellulose are deposited on both sides of the middle lamella from the primary cell wall. Cell wall develops later on by the deposits of cellulose and pectin primary cell wall. Plasma membrane is formed by Golgi apparatus beneath to the primary wall. The diagram is fluctuating in the red color. You can observe here. Cell wall is established by the deposition of lignin, such as lignification was required in connection with the transition from the aquatic to the terrestrial plant life during the evolution of these organisms. It consists of microfibrils which are embedded in the matrix. These are the microfibrils made up of lignin. Usually the primary cell wall becomes more lignified than the secondary cell wall. Cell wall plays a very important role by performing certain, such as giving mechanical strength to the cell and plants as a whole, and maintaining the shape of the cell and maintaining the shape of the tissues. It prevents the osmotic bursting of the cells by inhibiting not only protective the plasma membrane, but it also protects the cells from the attack of the pathogens or external attacks of the pathogen. Xylem vessel, tracheids, situs allow movement a long distance. Besides that, cutin and suberin deposits check loss of water from the cell surface by evaporation. So in this diagram, you are observing the cellulose microfibrils which controls the cell growth. See, the microfibrils are shown in the red. Pits perform in the wall help produce protoplasmic. Upon the type of the cell, the wall may be permeable or impermeable. Even a permeable wall exerts some regulatory effects on the transports of the substances into and out of the cell, which regulates the aqueous material to come, thus form a major part of a plant cell and perform various and a very vital for its growth. So this is what regarding the summary you can read is the rigid and protective layer of the plasma membrane which provide mechanical support. Certain prokaryotic cells, plant cells among eukaryotic cells possesses cell wall. Cell wall determine the shape of plant cells. Cell wall also contains certain minerals such as calcium, magnesium in the form of carbonates and silicates. Many chains of cellulose molecules lie parallel to each other to form the bundles. A bundle of 100 chain molecules of cellulose forms the elementary fibril known as the micelle. 20 micelle forms the microfibrils. A long chain of microfibrils bundles of cellulose. So this is what regarding the cell wall. The primary cell wall is comparatively thin, permeable. Certain epidermal cells of the leaf and the stem also possesses the cutin waxes, which makes the primary cell wall impermeable. So friends, this video was taken from the Mexas Education, www.icanstore.com. It is not mine. I am just trying to explain this video that it will help you to understand with the help of the diagram exactly what the cell wall is and how the cell wall functions, what is the structure of the cell wall, what are the chemical composition of the cell walls, and how many types of the cell wall are seen in it, primary, secondary as well as tertiary, how these three types plays a different roles, and slightly you may see the different types of chemical constituent occurs in this cell wall. The fibrils, microfibrils which occurs in the cell walls, and the active transport system due to the cell wall. We all know that the cell wall is the basic structure which helps to maintain the shape of the protoplasmic matter, which helps the cell from the attack of the external factors, which regulates most of the activities of the cell. So friends, this was what all about the cell wall. I tried to make you understand with the help of these videos